Have you ever wondered what the most devastating thing you can do to someone who thrives on your pain is? How do you strike a crushing blow to someone who always seems to get away with everything? Today, we're going to talk about turning your silence into your most powerful weapon. I'm going to reveal the 5 unbreakable rules of the total cold shoulder. These rules are guaranteed to shatter any narcissist. You're about to learn the one secret that will keep a toxic person awake at night, questioning everything. Most people think the best revenge is proving they're right. That is a massive mistake. In this video, I'll show you the hidden truth about how a manipulator's mind actually works. Are you ready to flip the script and take back control? Drop a comment right now and let me know. Have you ever tried to ignore a toxic person? How did it go? Let's see how many of us have dealt with this. Now settle in, we're getting started. To understand why going silent is so effective, you have to look inside the mind of a narcissist. Imagine someone with a massive, gaping black hole where their soul should be. That hole is filled with deep-seated insecurity and a sense of worthlessness. To keep that void from swallowing them whole, they need fuel. Psychologists call this narcissistic supply. That fuel is your emotion, and to them, it doesn't matter if those emotions are positive or negative. Your love, your admiration, your tears, your anger, and your pain, it's all just food for a manipulator. When you react to them, you're giving them proof that they exist. You're validating their power over you. Traditionally, victims of abuse spend years trying to get through to their tormentors. They look for logic where there is none. But the only way to win this game is to stop playing it entirely. Going total cold cuts off a narcissist's oxygen. It's not just about staying quiet, it's about completely starving them of the resource they need to survive. Right now, we're going to break down the 5 steps to doing it the right way. The first rule of going radio silence begins with a complete neutralization of your emotions. This is the very foundation of the method. Many people fall for the popular myth that the best way to get back at someone is to tell them off or give them a piece of your mind. We think that if we just find the perfect words, they'll finally realize what they've done. But that is a dangerous trap. To a narcissist, it doesn't matter if you're crying or screaming. In their eyes, your breakdown is simply proof of their power over you. Picture this. You send a massive 10-paragraph text. You pour your heart and soul into it, bearing your pain and hoping for a shred of remorse. And the response? A cold one word, okay, or worse, total silence. Just like that, you're back on the hook, trembling with frustration. To break this cycle, you have to become an emotional zero. You must shut down every reaction to their provocations. No public tears, no angry rants. A cold, blank expression is your first real strike against their ego. When they see that their actions no longer trigger a storm inside you, they begin to panic. That is how you shatter their world. As part of this first rule, you need to master the grey rock technique. If you're forced to deal with a narcissist, whether it's because of work or co-parenting, this method will be your lifeline. There's a common myth that being polite helps keep the peace. In reality, a narcissist sees politeness as a sign of weakness, an open invitation to manipulate you. To grey rock means becoming the most boring, uninteresting, and predictable person they've ever met. Think of a plain rock on the side of the road. It doesn't trigger any emotion. There's nothing to argue with. Stick to one-word answers. Yes. No. Okay. I see. Don't share details about your life. Don't ask follow-up questions, and keep your voice completely flat, level, and monotonous. Here's an example. Let's say they try to get under your skin by mentioning how bad you look since the breakup. Most people would get defensive. But a grey rock simply says, I hear your opinion. That's it. End of story. To a manipulator, that response is like hitting a brick wall. It leaves them hungry for a reaction they're never going to get. Shutting down your emotions on the outside is only half the battle. True detachment has to happen on the inside. Too often, people master the art of keeping a straight face in person, only to go home and break down in private. Narcissists have an uncanny intuition. They can sense your inner turmoil even through a mask of cold indifference. There's a common myth that time heals all wounds. It doesn't. Time only heals when you use it intentionally. You need to learn how to monitor your body's physical responses. Notice what happens the moment you see a message from them. Your heart starts racing, your palms get sweaty, and your breath hitches. Your goal is to consciously slow those reactions down. For example, before opening an email from them, take 10 deep, slow breaths. Imagine you're just looking at a piece of spam or a boring report from a colleague. You have to physically train your body not to respond to that trigger with an adrenaline spike. Only then will your indifference become genuine and truly unshakable. Once you've successfully mastered emotional detachment, prepare yourself for a phenomenon called narcissistic rage. This is the critical turning point where many people break. There's a common myth that if you stop reacting, the manipulator will simply shrug and walk away. In reality, it's the exact opposite. When their source of supply is suddenly cut off, the narcissist experiences extreme stress. They can't accept that their toy has stopped working, so they will double down on their provocations. For instance, if they used to rely on snide remarks, they might now escalate to blatant insults, threats, or spreading vicious rumors. They have one goal: to pierce your armor and squeeze out even a shred of emotion. Anger or fear, it doesn't matter as long as they get a reaction. You must understand that this rage is the ultimate proof that your silence is working perfectly. It is their final struggle. During this period, you have to be incredibly careful. Do not, under any circumstances, take the bait. Any response, even a logical one, is a step backward. Now let's move on to rule number 2, the total digital blackout. In the internet age, going no contact has to be high-tech. There's a common myth that goes like this: if I block him everywhere, he'll think I'm still bitter, or that I haven't moved on. Because of this, many women leave one messaging app open or stay followed on social media just to prove how unbothered and independent they are. Listen to me very carefully. That is a fatal mistake. Leaving even the smallest loophole is an open invitation for a predator to walk right back into your life. You must block his number, block him on every single messaging app, no exceptions. Blacklist him on all social media, block his email address. Think of it this way: imagine you've locked every door in your house but left one tiny window unlatched for a thief. A narcissist will find that window and crawl right through. Remember, blocking him isn't a sign that you're offended. It's an act of personal hygiene. You don't get angry at the trash when you take it out. You just want it out of your space. That is exactly how you need to view a total digital blackout. You aren't being petty, you are simply clearing your environment. Maintaining a digital vacuum means protecting yourself from what psychologists call flying monkeys. This term refers to the narcissist's entourage, the friends, family members, or mutual acquaintances they use to spy on you and pull your strings. It's a common trap. You've blocked the narcissist, but you're still chatting with their sweet mother or a mutual friend. This is exactly where the danger lies. We need to debunk the myth that you have to stay on good terms with their inner circle just to be polite. Whether they realize it or not, these people act as couriers, feeding the narcissist information about your life while delivering his messages to you. A classic example: his sister texts you saying, "He's suffering so much, he's finally realized his mistakes, just hear him out." And just like that, your defenses are shattered. The rule of total no contact requires you to distance yourself from the flying monkeys too. You must be firm with them. I am no longer discussing this person. Please do not mention him to me again. If they refuse to respect that boundary, block them as well. Your peace of mind is infinitely more important than social etiquette. Another crucial element of the digital vacuum is how you conduct yourself online. Silence only works if you stop broadcasting your emotions to the world. There's a common myth that if you post sad quotes about loneliness, or conversely, photos of performative happiness, the narcissist will finally get the hint. People often post photos of massive bouquets from secret admirers just to spark jealousy. But remember, to a narcissist, that's a clear sign you're still performing for them. You're doing it to get a reaction, which means they still control your mind. Real no contact means absolute radio silence. The best approach is to maintain your social media as if nothing in your life has changed. Post neutral content, your work, nature, or your hobbies. No hints about the breakup, no philosophical posts about betrayal. The narcissist will be stalking your profile from fake accounts. And when they find neither tears nor staged joy directed at them, they'll be left in a state of total confusion. You have effectively cut off their supply. The toughest part of rule number 2 is resisting the urge to become a stalker yourself. Maintaining a total digital blackout means accepting that you will know absolutely nothing about his life. There's a dangerous myth that just one peek at a story or a profile is harmless. You tell yourself, I just want to see who he's with now. No, in reality, you are choosing to drink poison. Every time you check his page, you reset your progress to 0. You are literally refiring the neural pathways in your brain that fuel your addiction. Think of it like a former smoker who decides to just hold a cigarette for a moment. A relapse is inevitable. Narcissists love to flaunt their lives after a breakup. You are guaranteed to see a curated image of pure bliss and a perfect new relationship. It's calculated. It's designed specifically to hurt you. Don't give him that power. Ban yourself from his profiles. Tell your friends never to mention his name. Only complete isolation will allow your brain to detox from this toxic attachment. Rule number 3 is a total game changer. Break the pattern and stay unpredictable. Narcissists are masters of control. They truly believe they know you better than you know yourself. They've studied your habits, your weaknesses, and your daily routines until they're convinced you're entirely predictable. There's a common myth that to survive, you just need to lay low and stay quiet. But that's a mistake. To break a narcissist, you have to break their script. You need to disrupt your patterns. Think about it. If they know you're at the same coffee shop every Friday, they'll show up by accident just to get in your head. So, switch cafes, change your commute, sign up for a class they've never even heard of, switch up your look, your style, even the way you carry yourself. When they try to dig for information, they should be met with a total blank. The person they thought was an open book has suddenly become a complete mystery. Losing control over your reality drives manipulators insane. They absolutely loathe surprises, unless they're the ones pulling the strings. Unpredictability is a powerful tool, especially when you're forced to maintain contact over legal or family matters. A narcissist thrives on expecting a specific reaction to their triggers. For years, they've been pushing the same buttons and getting the exact result they wanted. There's a common myth that you have to respond to every urgent request immediately, or you'll look irresponsible. That's simply not true. You have every right to set your own pace. Think of it as a pattern interrupt. In the past, if he sent an aggressive email about shared property, you'd drop everything and fire off a panicked, defensive reply within 5 minutes. Now you do things differently. You read the email, you take a breath, and you wait exactly 48 hours to respond. Your reply is a single, clinical sentence, not one exclamation point in sight. That time delay, combined with your ice-cold tone, completely pulls the rug out from under him. He spent 2 days waiting for a meltdown, but all he got was a dry, formal note. It shatters his illusion of control. A crucial part of breaking the cycle is letting go of the need for closure. This is exactly where 90% of people get trapped. There's a psychological myth, fueled by movies, that a healthy breakup requires one last big talk. We feel like we have to discuss everything, get all our questions answered, and find mutual forgiveness before we can finally move on. For a narcissist, that need for closure is the perfect trap. They might string you along for months, promising you that final conversation but constantly rescheduling it. Or they'll use the meeting as a way to manipulate you right back into the relationship. It usually sounds like this. We need to talk one last time so I can return your things and apologize. Don't fall for it. There won't be an honest conversation, just more manipulation, blame shifting, and gaslighting. Breaking the pattern means refusing that meeting entirely. You tell them, or better yet, show them with your silence. I don't need your apology. I don't need a final talk. You can keep my things or just send them by courier. You are the one who provides the closure, on your own terms and without their input. When we talk about breaking the cycle, we have to talk about hoovering. This is that phase when, after a long silence, the narcissist suddenly tries to suck you back in. There's a common myth that if he comes back, it's because he finally realized he loves you. But the reality is much harsher. He's just hungry. His current source of supply has likely dried up, or he's simply bored. A narcissist will get incredibly creative to make you break your silence. It's classic manipulation. You might get a text in the middle of the night saying, "I'm in the hospital, things are bad, you're the only person I can trust." Or maybe he'll send an old photo of the two of you with a caption like, "Remember how happy we were?" Your first instinct will be to react, to rescue him, to feel sorry for him, or even to lash out in anger. No, your new rule is to be an immovable rock. You give him nothing. Absolute silence. Even if he tells you he's standing right outside your door, you stay silent. You are shattering his favorite pattern, the rescuer trap. When you stop reacting to his manufactured tragedies, he finally realizes that his old keys no longer fit the lock to your heart. The fourth rule of no contact is perhaps the most vital step in your recovery. It's the total shift of focus back to yourself. True, no contact isn't about sitting passively on your couch waiting for him to start hurting. It is an incredibly active process. A common myth is that going silent is just a game of who talks first. But as long as you're staying quiet in the hopes that he's suffering, your focus is still stuck on him. You are wasting your precious energy on his potential reaction. A perfect example of this trap: you haven't texted him in a week, but you spend every single day talking to your friends about how much he must be struggling. That's not no contact. That's an illusion. The real shift happens when you reclaim the energy you've been feeding that manipulator and channel it into building your own life. You start treating yourself the way you always wanted to be treated. You invest in your health, your career, and your growth. You fill your life with so many new projects and goals that there is simply no space left for him in your mind. As you shift your focus back to yourself, you'll naturally start building firm, new boundaries. Dealing with a narcissist erodes those defenses, turning you into someone far too easy to manipulate. There's a dangerous myth that simply cutting out one specific abuser is enough to fix your life. No, the truth is, if you don't change your boundaries, someone just like them will eventually step in to take their place. Learning to disengage must become your ultimate filter. What does this look like in practice? Imagine a colleague at work starts using those same manipulative tactics, downplaying your achievements or trying to make you feel guilty. Instead of tolerating it like you did in the past, you immediately switch to the grey rock method and create distance. You learn to say no without offering excuses. You stop being the convenient person who is always agreeable to everyone. Once properly processed, your experience surviving a narcissist becomes your strongest shield. You gain a superpower, the ability to spot toxic behavior within the first few minutes of a conversation. When shifting your focus inward, many people fall into the trap of obsessing over a physical transformation just for revenge. It's a classic Hollywood trope. The girl gets dumped, drops 20 pounds, gets a blowout, puts on a killer dress, and, accidentally, walks past her ex just to show him what he's missing. This is what people call a revenge body. But please listen to me. If you're doing this, your actions are still revolving around him. That isn't focusing on yourself. True healing is much quieter and much deeper. Real transformation looks like this. You're sitting at home in your old pajamas with a cup of tea, lost in a good book, when you suddenly realize you are completely at peace. Your stomach isn't tied in knots with anxiety. You aren't bracing for the next blowout. You don't jump every time your phone buzzes. This quiet, steady sense of safety, living without fear, that is the ultimate goal. You don't have to prove anything to anyone with your appearance. You improve yourself only for your own comfort and your own health. And honestly, that state of inner harmony will bother a narcissist far more than any revenge body ever could. To stay focused on your recovery and avoid falling back into old patterns, you need a rock-solid support system. Narcissists thrive on isolation. They want to strip you of your stability so you have nowhere else to turn. There is a common myth that you should keep your relationship problems behind closed doors, but that code of silence only serves the abuser. You need to rebuild your inner circle, and you need to do it strategically. Pick 2 or 3 trusted people who can listen without judgment. Think of it this way: the moment you feel an overwhelming urge to call your ex, you call your person instead. You should have a prearranged agreement that in those moments, they will remind you of the pain you've endured and pull you back to reality. At the same time, it's crucial to weed out anyone who minimizes your experience. If someone says things like, "all couples fight, it's your fault too," or "just be the bigger person, distance yourself," that kind of advice is toxic to your healing. Surround yourself only with those who validate your reality and support your right to set firm, uncompromising boundaries. And now we've reached the 5th and most absolute rule, the rule of infinite duration. You might wonder, how long should you ignore a narcissist? The answer is simple: forever. There's a dangerous myth floating around the internet called the 30-day no-contact rule. The idea is that if you stay silent for a month, your partner will miss you, realize their mistakes, and come back a changed person. Forget that nonsense. Narcissistic personality disorder isn't cured by a month of silence. In fact, it's usually not curable at all. If you're using no contact as a tactic to win them back or manipulate them into behaving, you've already lost. True silence is a one-way ticket. Think of it this way: if you found spoiled, poisonous food in your fridge, you wouldn't leave it there for 30 days, hoping it would somehow become fresh again. You'd throw it out and never look back. Toxic relationships are no different. You have to make a firm, final decision. This person is never allowed in your life again, not in a year and not in a decade. Under no circumstances are they ever coming back. It is over for good. What exactly goes through a narcissist's mind when he realizes your silence isn't just a phase, but a final exit? It triggers a total psychological collapse. He's used to keeping his former targets in a backup harem, convinced he can pull your strings whenever he wants. The idea that he'll just forget you and move on is only half true. Sure, he'll find a new victim, but walking away without a second glance inflicts irreparable damage on his perfect self-image. Even in a new relationship, he'll be haunted by the one person who walked away and never looked back, the one who stripped him of his control. In his warped reality, you become an unfinished chapter, an obsession. He might even try to resurface years later just to prove to himself that you're still vulnerable, but your absolute, eternal radio silence will crush his fragile ego time and time again. You will forever remain the ultimate symbol of his failure, and honestly, that is the most poetic justice for all the pain he put you through. Make no mistake, the path of total silence won't be easy. You will definitely be haunted by echoes of the past. There will be days when an unbearable sense of longing washes over you. A common psychological myth suggests that if you miss someone, it must mean it was true love and you made a mistake by walking away. This is a dangerous illusion. In reality, you aren't missing the person. You're missing the chemical cocktail in your brain. You're longing for the honeymoon phase, back when he was first winning you over and seemed like the perfect prince. It's a classic trap. your brain starts playing a highlight reel of only the good memories. That trip to the beach, the sweet words, the thoughtful gifts. All the pain, the humiliation and the tears, it's as if they've been wiped clean. This is just a psychological defense mechanism. In moments like these, staying the course requires absolute discipline. You have to force yourself to remember reality. Make a list of every awful thing he ever did, every insult, every betrayal, and every lie. And every time you think you miss him, read that list. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but it will snap you back to reality and keep you on the right path. The ultimate goal of Rule 5 and the essence of going no contact is to reach a state of absolute indifference. This is the moment when ignoring them stops being a rule you have to follow and becomes your natural state of being. There is a common myth that hate is the opposite of love. In reality, the true opposite of love is indifference. Here is what your final victory looks like. Time passes. You happen to run into him on the street, or a mutual friend mentions his name in passing, and suddenly you realize you feel nothing. There's no spark of pain, no pang in your chest, no fear, no anger, and no resentment. Even the desire for revenge has vanished. To you, he has become a total stranger, just another face in the crowd, a blank space where a person used to be. You are no longer using your energy to ignore him. You simply don't think about him at all. In this moment, the narcissist's power is truly broken, even if he isn't there to see it. His hold over you has been ground into dust. You have reclaimed your soul, your energy, and your freedom. This isn't just an escape. This is your complete and total rebirth. So, let's wrap things up. We've covered 5 powerful rules designed to shut down any manipulator. Emotional detachment, a total digital blackout, staying unpredictable, shifting the focus back to yourself, and maintaining it all indefinitely. The true climax of this strategy isn't when the narcissist comes crawling back on their knees. The real turning point is when you simply stop caring what happens to them. By doing this, you reclaim your most valuable asset, your life energy. Remember, every day of total silence makes you stronger while leaving them powerless. You deserve a relationship where you are truly valued, not just used as a resource. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you found this helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the algorithm reach others who might be looking for support right now. I'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these 5 rules do you think is the hardest to follow in real life? I'll be reading your responses and look forward to the conversation. Take care of yourself and your mental well-being. I'll see you in the next video.